So here we are overlooking the pond, peaceful and calm. And the clay plug seal held through 1.6 inches of rain. The ram pump has been running for, I don't know, I think 48 hours straight now, with no failures, no issues, no problems, just still pumping away. Just wanted to point out that the plug held here. This seam is sealed up nice with the rain. It's nice the rain comes in and washes and kind of settles the soil in for you. And now we'll go down and take a look at some of the improvements to the ram pump. Alright, so the other night I came down here and made a few more minor improvements, but details that have long been needed. I excavated this out a little bit more, and I used that clay to build up this thrust block a little bit more. I think I'm probably going to carry this clay berm right up to that next post, because that really stabilized the pipe a lot. This section of soil, for those who don't know, this section of soil that's around the lower part of the ram pump drive line is being used as a thrust block. And what a thrust block does is act as a huge mass of weight to prevent pipe movement. So the clay kind of like suction cups itself to the pipe and you pack it down. And normally thrust blocks are built with concrete, and then you would use bolts in the concrete, and then you would bolt down to the thrust block. But in this case, because nothing here is really permanent, I've used clay so that I can just pull it back up and pull out of here and leave no trace and no ecological damage, that sort of thing. I'm very conscious about the impact that I have on the soil, the streams, and the ecology in our environment. And I think that's something we need to look at more in our farming practices in this country and abroad, because it's not being looked at as much as it should be. There is an awakening kind of coming on, but we need to do a lot more, both in thought and practice. That said, I've tamed the ram pump down to prevent erosion. One of the main things that we focused on when I worked for the engineer was erosion and sediment control. And that's important for keeping clean streams and waters, and for the deeper parts of streams where the fish breed and that sort of stuff to not be filling in with fine sediments. And a big part of that is us as humans controlling that erosion from happening so that the finer sediments don't flow off and end up in the stream. So you can see I put some moss on here to help with that. Actually, underneath that, I put a little sheet of the greenhouse plastic, which is 6 mil. Turn this off a sec so you can hear me easier. Which is 6 mil, and that sheet spans across underneath the moss here so that my thrust block doesn't erode away over time. And then I put the moss over it to help prevent erosion, and because it looks a lot nicer than a sheet of plastic does. I probably just could have put the moss right on directly, but I just really wanted to ensure that the lower portion of this didn't erode. In addition to that, you can see I've added these pallets in place here, sort of leveled them up. Not super level, but level enough that if they're icy you won't slip on the slope and break your butt. The final thing that I did here was put this collar in. You can see that's not on there very hard at all, but it's basically just a 2-inch PVC coupling with an 1.5 inch, or with a piece of 2-inch PVC inserted into it, and it just slides over this, and you can see it slides right down to the stoppers on the valve. And so that prevents all of that splatter action that was happening before. Let me step out of the way here, I'll show you what I mean. That takes all that, which obviously causes erosion as it splatters onto the banks all over the place, and turns it into that, which doesn't splatter all over the place. And the pump also runs much smoother that way. So, a couple of improvements in that regard. Just wanted to share a few new improvements with you. Not doing this as a major ram pump video, just kind of including this in the farm tour today. Like I said, I will be doing a walkthrough of the new ram pump setup and discussing some of the specifics of the upgrades and their benefits. Anyway, I think that covers everything for now. If you have any questions or comments, please do so below. If you know someone who you think might like this sort of thing, please pass it along to them. Thanks for watching the Pharmacy Seeds Network, and if you're not subscribed, don't forget to subscribe.